Hi everyone. In this video I want to give you a look around at, well, I guess one or two of the improvements that I made after Hurricane Arthur. A look at the Campobello Killer Rose, and you'll see what I mean by that in a moment. I've made an attempt at propagating or crossing, I guess, crossbreeding, making a hybrid tomato out of two heirloom open pollinated indeterminate varieties that I'm growing, and I'll show you that. But right now, at the beginning of this little thing, I want to do an unpackaging. If you can see this package behind me here, I have received my shipment of Haskaps, I think that's how you pronounce it, a new kind of a berry bush, or a new kind of a berry bush to me anyway. I brought these three plants in from Saskatchewan, so let's have a look at them. The packing label that came with these on the package said that they are all hardened and ready to be planted, so that's a good thing, because I think next week I will be planting everything that I've got ready to go into the perennial fruit and vegetable bed that I'm starting this summer, the area that I sheet mulched earlier. I would like to let it compost a little longer, but I'm concerned that they won't have time to, things that I plant in there won't have time to develop a good root system before fall and winter sets in, so I'm going to put them in whether they're ready or not. Well, I see greenery. That looks nice and healthy. Scotch tape, I guess. Very pleased with that. Today is the 10th. Yes, the 10th. And they were shipped out of Saskatchewan on the 8th of July. So they're not exactly cheap plants. The three plants, plus, I don't know if there was tax applicable or not, but they charge for $20 for getting them ready for shipment, packing, whatever. And then they charge you exactly what the post office charged for shipping, and to express post, to ship three of these express to me was $82 and something. So what, we're talking $170 some, I guess, for the three shrubs. But anyway, it's my hobby. I even had to sign a non-propagating agreement before I could buy these. Some of these are copyrighted material, I guess, registered copyrighted material. In particular, I think this one, blue honeyberry, or yeah, this one. This is a one that's grown for pollinating, and it's there. They have that one copyrighted, so they're not supposed to make any cuttings and propagate it or anything, so I had to sign a non-propagating agreement. No berries on them. These are gallon size. I don't know if those are large enough that I might see some fruit next year or not, but I must say I'm pleased with the quality. They look nice looking plants, considering they've been shipped to me all the way from Saskatchewan. So there is the great unveil. I wanted to show you this rose that I'm so proud of. Partially hidden in behind my Hurricane Arthur beat-up potato patch. If anyone knows a name for it, I'd appreciate it. I grew it from seed. It's probably 8 or 9 years old now. I believe it was brought to Campobello by a seasonal resident, and they have it in their garden, and it's very invasive. I love things that are invasive. and it does incredible things. It's a climber. I have it planted away from anything for it to climb, so it's growing into a big mound. And as you can see, it has panicles, clusters of creamy colored blossoms with yellow centers. I have seen it, 40, 50 feet up into the top of very tall spruce trees. In the fall, it's covered with very small rose hips, and the migrating birds love it. They clean the rose hips off of it, almost all of them. And of course, wherever they roost for the night in the top of tall trees, they drop seeds onto the ground in their droppings. And this thing germinates and just heads for the sky. It looks like we have spruce trees that bloom around here. And I have seen it now all over the island. It started over in the village of Welch Pool on the North Road, and now you'll find it in far-flung places on the island. I've seen it over in Maine, close by. I'm assuming it also probably spread from here. Anyway, whatever it is, I really like the thing. If anybody has a name for it, I'd appreciate it. I had a feeling there would be skeptics among you who wouldn't believe me. I'm here at the wrong time of day. This is one of the trees that I mentioned that it's growing up in, and that's probably 25, 30 feet up into that particular tree. But unfortunately, I'm shooting into the sun, so anyway, I hope you can see that. That's what I call the Campobello Killer Rose. It's everywhere now. This tree isn't as tall. I don't know what that would be, 15 feet or so maybe off the ground, but the light is better, so it shows the thing a little better. Okay, so this is my last example. It's just getting started up that spruce tree in the background there, so that's probably, again, 15 feet off of the ground. But if you look at the width of it along the road here, and if I can get this thing to turn, more of it down there. I don't know if that shows or not, down closer to my car, but it's just amazing. The thing is, everywhere has recovered somewhat. The front rows of those various varieties that I got from West Coast Seeds are probably looking better than most of the Caras, but it's only the center plants in the Caras that are damaged the most. The ones on both ends of that row are looking good. So brittle, I just don't dare to try to pick them up and straighten them up because I know they would just snap off. So I'm leaving them alone and hoping for the best. I'm concerned really about blight because of the, well, they were too close to begin with, but now with the foliage all packed down and we get damp weather, there's a chance of blight setting in, but cross that bridge when we get to it. The tomato plants have all got tall enough that I've had to put extensions. I've zip-tied extensions onto the bamboo canes that I have them growing on, which also gave me the opportunity to tie them off onto the, you can see strings there, onto the hoops and the hoopos, the steel hoops. So hopefully as they get heavier, laden with tomatoes, I hope, that will help hold them up. Some of them are leaned out from the stakes, which you can probably see there. That's because I have run out of the Velcro plant tie stuff that I use. I don't think I really ran out of it. I've got a partial roll somewhere. I just can't seem to find it. But anyway, ordered another roll today. It'll be here in 2 or 3 days' time. So I will tape them up further once it gets here. Well, in my after Hurricane Arthur video, this is where that poplar tree was leaned over. I got my chainsaw out yesterday and cut it down. And these two smaller poplar trees were growing not far from it. And they've got a bit of a lean to them. I don't think it's so much the wind as the old poplar that I've cut down was leaned onto them. So anyway, there's a fast-growing tree. These will be as big as the one that was there in short order. The sad thing is, I discovered when I was cutting down the big one, it's one of the trees that I planted the wild grapevine beside last summer. And that particular vine is doing very well. It was just about to start wrapping around the tree. So I left about a 4-foot stump, give it something to support onto for the time being. And when its vine gets long enough, I will try to reach it over to go up these two poplar trees. They're only, I don't know, 4 or 5 feet apart. So once the vine gets vigorous enough, I should be able to train it over onto these. I also lost a wild cherry. Cut that up. That was down close to the house. But for anybody who's not from the local area, a wild cherry isn't any great loss. It doesn't produce anything that's edible. It's tiny little berry-size fruit that the birds like, but they're very susceptible to the prunus blight, that black knot thing that forms on them, and they're short-lived anyway. And this one, I think, didn't have many years left in it. Didn't look like a very healthy specimen to begin with, but I cut that down and got rid of it yesterday as well. We're in the hoop house, and I think that's a fairly clear shot. It looks to be anyway. What I'm trying to do is to produce my own heirloom tomato, and I'm following the cross-pollinating instructions that Halvor, Norway Gardening, it's awful I can't think of the name of your channel, Halvor, but anyway, I will put a link to his excellent video showing how to do the pollination, to get the cross-pollination. I have the two varieties, as I've said. I have Gardener's Delight and Yellow Pear. Both are open-pollinated heirloom varieties of tomatoes, indeterminate varieties. And I've crossed them both ways. The one that you're looking at is the Gardener's Delight, which has been crossed with the Yellow Pear, and on the plant next to it is a similar one flower that has been, the variety is the Yellow Pear, tongue-tied, and it has been cross-pollinated with the Gardener's Delight. So of these two tomatoes, if they both mature and ripen, I plan to save the seeds, and those are what I'm going to grow next year. In my dreams, I would like to get either a yellow Gardener's Delight or a red pear, so we'll see what happens. The piece of thread that you see tied around is just loosely tied with one knot, so that it will slip and grow along with the stem on the tomato, just so that I will always know which one it is, and I've done the same thing to the other one. So in future updates, if these things actually start to form fruit, I will show you what's happening. Well, one last little thing here with my devastated Ethiopian lentil plants that the bunny rabbit really enjoys. If anybody ever wanted to know, that's what an Ethiopian lentil blossom looks like. It's almost identical to a pea blossom, of course, except for the coloring. I've never seen peas quite like that, which I guess in a way makes sense. It's lentils are a legume, and like peas, and I presume it grows in a pod. I haven't seen them yet, but if I keep the bunny away from long enough, I'll have a few pods to see what they look like anyway. Well, thank you very much for watching.